My name's Erik Weaver. I work for the ETC. The ETC is a nonprofit think tank based out of USC's film school. It's been around about 32 years now. We were founded at the behest of George Lucas. I report directly to a board which is represented by the CTO of Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, Paramount, Sony, Epic Games. Google's on there, Microsoft's on there, and a couple other people. So we get to go look at what's coming around the corner and play and experiment with some of the coolest and most fun things around. I don't actually teach a class because that represents real work, unlike some of the other folks here. But I do pretty much, I give away a grant to an individual of diversity, and we pioneer next generation technologies. And it's kind of almost like a PhD program where it's very hands-on.
My name is Mike Whalen. I'm a documentary filmmaker in the Bay Area here, and I'm also the chair of the communication department, which is where the film program exists at Santa Clara University.
Hi, I'm Renard Jenkins. I am the immediate past president of the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, currently the vice president of the Hollywood Professionals Association, and president and CEO of I2A2 Technologies. I've been in the business for 37 years. I consider myself to be a creative first and an extremely curious engineer second. I also consider myself to be a recovering studio executive, and I really enjoy emerging technology, but what I get the most excitement out of is when we actually get to apply what we're doing and putting it into practice.
Hi, I'm Joann Denning. I'm the department chair for film, television, and art digital media at Diablo Valley College. I'm also one of the lead faculty for the Regional Virtual Production Academy, which is a 5-college collaborative program from the community college system. And we are creating degrees and certificates in virtual production and emerging technology.
So where do we audit should we?
And you hear me, right? So I'm John Shike, sales, key accounts manager, systems group, local systems integrator. Okay. In good. In Emeryville, California. I'm also in the membership, ladies and gentlemen, membership side, motion picture and television engineers, and we really want to build our membership, and the best way to do that is to build a brand that I'll leave the door open. Yeah. Want to bring more professionals into industry, not more sitting members for us, but I think we create a lot of value. The last few years, we've actually started Tianzo College, started a student chapter there, followed that up at San Francisco State University, City College, San Francisco, and now also at Long Beach, Cal State, so Northridge, Cal State, Los Angeles, Cal State, and I think we may have Monterey. That's Monterey. So I'm very excited about that. So I'm going to get this thing started, and the topic here is about the future of media education, and really a focus on kind of film, television, video, immersive media, etc. Digital technology really is that area that I'm really talking to. And so what I want to start with is actually the first question will be for Renard Jenkins, and he is the past president of SMPTE and vice president also for again, Hollywood professional, and production association, professional association. So the question is that really, how are these new technologies affecting our industry? And really, what are the most critical areas of innovation? How can students be prepared as they perhaps enter?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're seeing right now is, by the way, my company actually supports healthcare, ed tech, as well as media and entertainment and marketing and research. So we do spend a lot of time working with professors and working with them to help them pull their dreams out to actually create the tools, because we have some brilliant people who have all these wonderful ideas, but they don't know how to actually bring them to life. And that's what my company does, is we focus on helping professors take their dreams from a visualization to an actual product. And whether or not they want to take it to market, we help them in that space as well. What we're finding is that there are a lot of things that are happening in our industry, and they're happening very quickly. Everybody has noticed that artificial intelligence is everywhere. Everybody's heard this. A few years ago, it was virtual production. Prior to that, it was blockchain. Prior to that, it was media supply chain. Prior to that, it was HDR, 4K. All of these technologies happen to just enter our space. But what doesn't always happen is that on the education side, that the curriculum follows. What's really great that I'm hearing from my colleagues here as we were warming up is that they are in front of a lot of this technology, putting it in place and getting their students involved. That's not the case all around the country. I speak to some individuals who are teaching a curriculum that is probably 10 years old. And it's because it's so difficult for universities to actually change curriculum. We have to make that easier. We have to make sure that, yes, it's vetted and yes, it's peer reviewed, but we need to be able to be agile enough to stay at the pace that the industry is moving. So what I'm seeing right now is the same thing that all of you are seeing with regard to technology. Everything that you are reading about artificial intelligence is not true. I want to be very, very clear about that. It is not the panacea. It is not going to fix everything in the world. It is not going to take over. There are not going to be robots running around doing your job.
Makes for a better movie.
It does make for a great movie. It really does. However, human beings and the integration of human beings with this technology is where things are going to go. So the key to what we should be focused on, how do we actually train humans to not only work with these tools, but how do we train them to actually control, understand, and begin to build these tools? That's where you want to be. Because when it's all said and done, I can give you an AI tool, but if you are not a really true artist, you're not going to be able to put something out there that's going to compete with someone who is a real, true artist. Artificial intelligence generates. It doesn't create. Humans create. That's where the real magic is.
Some kind of learning system. So I noticed that when you're talking about complexity changing curriculums, Joann, there. So Joann, the question for you is, what innovative teaching methods have you seen or implemented that you believe represent the future?
Well, I'll tell a little bit about the RVPA first. When we came together, it was 6 community colleges, and we quickly recognized our biggest challenge was staying current with industry. You know, historically, we'd had a siloed approach, each college teaching their own curriculum, not really intersecting much together. But as a system, the California Community College system, we realized that we could no longer do that. This emerging tech was happening too quickly, and we really needed to get a handle on it, get ahead of it. And so we did this divide and conquer approach where students can take classes at any of the colleges, and we're really committed to offering very current curriculum and making sure our curriculum aligns with industry. So what we did was, to stay current, we actually designated some release time to a faculty, our technical lead, and his role is to really engage with our industry partners and understand what is happening, what's happening with technology, what industry problems are occurring right now, what our industry partners are facing. And simultaneously, what was really exciting was we got some funding, and we were able to pay students to be interns under the technical lead. And so we simultaneously developed the role, and then we have a group of 9 interns from 3 community colleges working under him. And he is intersecting with our industry partners, and they're giving our students real-world challenges, and they're actually supporting and helping our industry partners. So the other issue that we faced, and had to be very honest about, was we have to have mutually beneficial partnerships with industry. We cannot just go and ask over and over, what's new, what's happening? It doesn't work for them because they're too busy and they're too multitasked and they don't have time to intersect with us in really meaningful ways. So this program has allowed us to kind of embed in the industry pipeline and to really get that information. And it's also so fantastic for our students because instead of placing them as apprentices, which we do want to do, and we're building an apprentice program, it brings all the learnings back into our program. And as a 5-college system, one of our colleges is a little bit on hold right now, but as a 5-college system, we then share those learnings out to all of our faculty in our programs. And one of the things we're learning from all the challenges being thrown at our interns and our frequent contact with them is that we have to shift in the classroom from mastery of individual tools to really identifying, accessing, and applying the right tools for the challenge. So that's a pedagogy approach that we really need to consider. We also have to stop thinking of ourselves as experts. We are not experts. Our students sometimes know more than us about individual softwares. We really are facilitators, and that role has to be very clear, especially in emerging tech. So regular, substantial contact with industry and mutually beneficial partnerships, and we really need to build that. And what we love about our system is we're actually giving these first-gen students who may not have parents working in tech these opportunities, and so it's really an amazing, it's an honor for me to represent the RVPA.
And there were some great student films that I saw. There was a presentation of them up at Whalen Productions. But wow, stuff is really cool. And I also really like the idea that so you can, at Laney College, they have a course on Unreal Engine. The teacher is just fantastic. Then Diablo Valley College, they have more technical courses. So I think by bringing 6 community colleges together, and I understand 4 want to join RVPA, that has done something pretty cool. So I want to jump over to Erik Weaver now, and here's the question. So we had a nice meeting at SMPTE and Hollywood back in October, sort of our annual conference, and Erik was there, and he showed a piece of this animated short made with AI. I just want to ask him what the experience of that thing's like.
So we're working on a piece called Chickaboom. As a matter of fact, Renard's on there. And actually, you were kind of, for 10 minutes, one of my bosses on the board. Yep. But anyways, so Chickaboom is, so I give away a grant, typically almost every year, in which we look at innovation and change. And so in the grant, we decided we were going to do an animation piece with AI, but we didn't attempt to. We attempted to empower the creatives in this. So we broke the entire silo down and looked at how a traditional pipeline worked, and then looked at what types of tools would fit into each part of the pipeline. A lot of us get hung up on generative and especially ethical generative content. So in this situation, we did have the writer-director work on aspects of generative to find his look or what he wanted in his chica or his main character. And just so you know, prompting is an art form. It's really much more challenging than you might think to be actually good at it. All of us here in the room can most likely write, but none of us are probably novelists or premier poets in this world. And this is a whole new skill set. So he found that, and it took him 314 prompts and over 1,000 renditions to find that chica or that character. At that point then, we took it to the drawing board and hand animated everything. So we basically air gapped the system and created all the expression sheets ourselves in this particular process. And then went and took those expression sheets and retrained the LoRa models so that you now have a consistent character. One bit of confusion is many of us see things like AI, and we assume that there is this spaghetti against the wall kind of concept of I'm editing what I get. And that's not where this is at this phase in generation. We're now at a control and consistency place where you can define the look, the feel, the costumes. The characters can be consistent and actually move and do things that you are directing or controlling in the process. So we did that, and we broke the whole thing down, and we should be hopefully finished by about March. There is a major hand aspect still involved in some of this. We are not completely generating out, but it's a lot of fun, and you can see a couple talks. We gave a really good talk at Unreal Fest on this work and how we did this particular project. So if you go to Unreal Fest, look for Chickaboom, and you'll be able to see some of the tools we used. We actually looked at over 80 tools and found what would be best in breed. But a lot of things are also very utility-oriented or help with the process across the board.
So the next question is for Mike Millen. Are you concerned that these new technologies like AI bring ethical issues along with the opportunities that they offer, and something that we're going to have to include into our curriculum?
I guess yes and yes. I'm at a Jesuit university, so you can never escape ethical discussions, pretty much. I mean, lunch choice is an ethical decision. But I guess I caution it in only one way, is that if we think about the history of film, television, go back radio, like every new technology that came along, remember, was supposed to kill the previous one. Last time I checked, radio was alive and kicking, right? Before this election, everybody said podcasting was dead. This election proved pretty powerful that podcasting is not dead. And so that's one of the things to caution, is we tend to get caught up in the latest and greatest that's come along, and we freak out about it, and we dive in. And I think in our education, we need to teach people to slow down. We need to teach people to take a bigger picture. We need to teach people to step back and develop critical thinking about the tools that they are using. Renard touched on this early on. It's the person powering, not the computer powering, that we should really be discussing. As we just found out 2 days ago, apparently NVIDIA is not all that, right? And that's going to change, right? Tomorrow, probably. And so what we can do as educators is teach our students how to engage technology, one, in a humanistic way, right? And I include ethical implications on that, but also historically, right? Understand the history of technology, understand how it's affected society and individuals over time, and then the ethical decisions are much easier to comprehend. AI will displace people, like every technology that's ever come out in any field. And so how do we address that? We can't walk into West Virginia and say, wind is the new way of doing things. Forget about the way your entire communities have been built around coal. And then think we're not destroying the fabric of the West Virginia communities. It's the same thing here. Animation is the first probably drop in the bucket because of the technology and what it can do, right? But like one of the things I do is I have my students in a screenwriting class, and the first day it's like, okay, create a 2-page scene with AI, do it. And they do it, right? And it's usually not good. Then I said, okay, add it with a flair. So, the last one somebody did in the style of Aaron Sorkin. And it was just faster bad, right? It wasn't really good, right? And then they start doing it. And then I said, okay, and then it expands out, and we go through this process, and what they start experiencing, and then they stop, and we get to the point where we have like a little 10-page scene. And then I ask them, who owns this? Because the law is not clear, right? Copyright law is based on human creation. And so as with every technology that's ever happened in humankind, excuse me, technology has outpaced policy and law. So how do you copyright your work? So like when I was really interested with what you're doing, like, ooh, they went and drew it themselves. And like instantly now they have put in copyright because they hand drew. So go back, like that script that you say AI can create, and let's say you're the best prompter that's ever existed in the face of the earth. Like, we don't know who owns that. Is it the person who wrote the prompt? Is it the company that created the AI? Or is it Aaron Sorkin because I kept throwing Aaron Sorkin's name in there and I'm stealing from him? The point is that part of media education has to be, how are you ethically using this? But how do you understand how this works within the industry? Business of entertainment has to be taught because technology and business go hand in hand. The lack of that knowledge means that we put out students that are not prepared and will fall into potholes all over the place. Right now, if you read any of the literature on what, in terms of who we get, because we, at Santa Clara, we get traditional college students in terms of age-wise. Gen Zers are being fired quicker than any other generation from jobs because they're unprepared for the workplace. Because they don't understand how to critically think. Because they don't understand how to collaborate. Because their communication skills are horrible. Right? That's like there's survey after survey that has shown that. So I think we have to take a step back and teach those bigger critical thinking skills and then bring them to the technology so that they understand how to use it properly and can survive it.
Tristan.
Okay, so Renard's question, does SMPTE have a role in educating the educators on the two technologies?
I'm glad you asked that. It's almost as if that was a setup. Yes, we do. The society is really based off of a couple of things. Standards, which all of you are aware of, color bars and film sprockets and so forth and so on. But education is a huge part of what the society actually does. We not only do education for industry veterans, but we also like to reach out to people who are mid-career and individuals who are just getting into their career. So we have a series of educational opportunities that are online. But when it comes to how we engage with colleges, we work with people like John Shike, who were volunteers, Pat Griffiths, who was a past president, and we create and foster student sections. And those student sections are a collaboration between the faculty and the students and SMPTE. And what we try and do really, and I shouldn't say try and do, what I feel we do very well is that we get the latest and the greatest information on technology out to those students and help them get prepared to get into this business. We also help the staff and help the professors to understand what's coming so that they're not behind. So even if they can't change the curriculum as a whole, they can inject some of the new information into the classes that they're teaching. And then we support them through working groups that we have that are set up for professors to actually get together, have a conversation about what they're seeing, and then work on what could be, a session at one of our conferences, or what could be a gathering of students getting together in a particular area. So like in the Washington, D.C. area where I live, we've got like about 4 student sections. And every year we will get them together as a group and just focus on the students. That's the kind of stuff that we do in SMPTE, and I know that you guys do that here in the Bay Area. By the way, I'm an Oakland native, so I'm always home when I come here. And that's also one of the reasons why it's easy for John to get me to come out here. But it's really about, with SMPTE, it's really about making sure that we're providing educators with information and that we're providing, hopefully, students with opportunity.
Question for Erik. This new world of media is evolving faster and faster. So have you had to absorb the lessons from it? The curriculum and USC, for example, keeping up?
So I don't feel like it's my job to describe how a plane is designed historically. I feel like it's my job to build a plane in flight. And we've just got to throw ourselves out there. We don't have the answers. Like, I've got 2 projects right now, and one is a hybrid film where we're shooting iPhone content. I can shoot with any camera I want. I'm shooting iPhone. And then I'm basically reprocessing an AI, to regenerate the backgrounds. Or I'm working with VO2, Google's system, to create a purely generative film that is technically, ethically clean because they have all the waivers on that content. So we're pioneering all these things and figuring out what's going to be next, how is it going to be next, We do actually have a really good AI film program at the school. But I think that a lot of that is a little bit more like a Curious Refuge educational course, where you're just kind of getting the latest updates on particular tools in that process. The reason we created the end-to-end process is because there is a lot of snafus between a test and actually producing something from end to end. And that real-world application really is the learning ground. Plus, we also publish about 150-page paper at the end of each time. We document it all for the public to have, so anybody could read our papers.
Cool. I like that sort of like the sandboxes for this see what happens, but that's cool. So, question for Joann is, with all this happening so fast, where should the education programs focus beyond teaching? Is it fundamental? The point is to ensure that students are adaptable, evolving at this.
Yeah, well, I think that really we're looking at tool agnostic skills and pipeline thinking is where we need to go. I think that, of course we want critical thinking skills. That's very important. But we have to really acknowledge that, the technology, the rapid pace requires our students to really move quickly, and they need to understand how to access and utilize things like AI. And I think also it's really important as educational institutions sort of move forward with this, that they start to think of themselves as safe spaces for innovation, and that is a mutually beneficial relationship with industry right there, because often industry has restrictions on what they can do, but in an educational environment, we can tell our students and educate our students to really think critically about AI ethics, but we also need to encourage them to utilize AI and understand how it can be used and what's possible with it. This is really important for the first-gen student who could quickly get left behind if, as an educational institution, we aren't giving them access. The other thing is access to compute is very important. We think that we need to really prioritize that with our student populations. The technology is there for, if you have a Chromebook, you actually could have access to a powerful computer. Access to compute is not a computer, but it's the access to actually create and do things. And now with this new technology, our students from all over online can utilize technology in new ways.
Infrastructure, metadata, all these things that you have no idea you need,
Yes.
or they might need.
Yes.
So it's actually a question for Mike, because talking about skills, and the question, Mike, is should we also be teaching sort of the business side all at the same time?
We have to. It's crucial because the business side drives all of what we're doing. I'm a proponent of adding in media education in elementary school. I think there's a problem that we are not educating users and basically citizens to be active, educated, critical thinkers and users of technology from early on. And obviously you adapt the style of the education as they go through their experience, but we can't wait to college. We need to be teaching this, and AI is not going to go anywhere. It's only going to get more pervasive. So the importance of teaching young people especially how it works, who controls it, what's happening, kind of that idea of look behind the curtain is really, really important. As they get older in the high school and college years, they really need to understand the structure of industry because it helps you understand where things could be going and how then to potentially monetize work that you are doing. I want to encourage my students to use AI. I want them to understand it because as the safe space is, in the classroom is the opportunity for them to explore and to understand how it can be a vital tool for them for good, but also for monetary purposes, rather than get out into the world and be abused by it.
John, I want to say something that add on that. Mike, you're hitting like right on where we need to be. Because while jobs are going to change, new jobs are going to be actually generated out of all of this. And being prepared for those new jobs is where the real those are going to be the people who are going to be successful. Individuals who understand that, yes, prompt engineering is not just sitting down and writing a sentence. I am married to an English major. She feels like this is her revenge now because I've been the tech guy all the time. So now she can write a better prompt than I can, but I can learn from her. I think taking a look at what areas of this technology space is really, really important for individuals to have when they get out of school. That's critical. When you talk about individuals not being ready for the workplace, you know, that means that you've got to get from behind the screen and actually start to work with other people when you're actually doing this. AI gives this false sense that you can do it all yourself. You know, it's telling everyone that you can create your own storyboard, you can create your own story, you can create your own animation, you can create your own film. That's not really true, and that's what Erik and the ETC folks are actually proving, which is why I'm proud to be a part of what they're doing. It's showing that collaboration is still key to this industry that we're all a part of.
Can I say one thing too? I think we really need to rethink what constitutes a fundamental skill. Yes. I think we all have assumptions about that, but with AI in the mix now, we really, as industry education, need to think about that.
Well, it's completely great. So we're out of
Time, but thank you very much for this panel. It's been very interesting. Thank you very much.